Hey everybody, I'm Flying Scorpion, also known as Boozbaz in EVE Online, and this is a video to help people get into trading and making money trading in EVE Online. It's mostly for members of my corporation that I just established a few days ago called Matari Moneymakers, but this is obviously available for anyone to see as well. So the fundamental rule for making money in trading is to buy low and sell high. But some things are really sucky to try to buy low and sell high, and some things are really great to try and buy low and sell high. So what's the difference between these items? In EVE Online, in the market, you'll find items where people will come to the marketplace and they will dump those items for sale and just sell it to whoever is offering the best price at that point in time. And you'll have also people come to the market on the same day and they will buy that very same item from whoever has that item up for sale at the lowest price. And when you have these forces at play, people coming in and dumping it onto the market for whatever price they can get for it, and people coming in and buying it for whatever price it happens to be on sale for, this forces a gap between these two, and that gap is your profit margin. You put your buy orders up at the lowest price that you can, people sell it to you, you build up your stockpile of stock. It's like having a bucket collecting rain. The rain is falling and collecting into your bucket, and then you take it, and when people come out and they hold out their cup, you have them raise the price and you pour a little bit into each one of their cups, and that's your profit. So how do we find stuff like that in EVE Online? If you want me to just get straight to the point, meta modules are a really good place to start. And let's get into why that is. Why are meta modules good things to buy and sell? Because mission runners will go out and get those items. They'll drop from enemies. They'll come and dump them on the market. And then people will want to use those items in their builds for a variety of reasons. And they'll come to the market and buy them, just like I described before. But how do you find items that fit this description? Let's look at the page here. And we're going to go to the price history. The bars at the bottom are the volume. You want to have lots of volume being sold. If you see gaps where it's not being sold at all, or like really long gaps where it's almost never sold, and I'll see if I can find an example of one. Here's a good example of one right here. See this? There's really big gaps where it's not being bought or sold. There's a pretty big difference in price. From 10 million to 17 million. Oh, that's a big profit margin, but you'll be waiting a long time for that to happen. So let's go back to this. So we've got volume happening every day. There's at least one being bought or sold. Let's look at these dots. See that dot right there and that dot right there? That represents the median daily price that the item was bought and sold for. So it takes a look at all of the transactions and it kind of picks a middle ground for how much it was bought and sold for. And you want to see that in the middle with these long tails coming up above and down below. It's like a candlestick. And the longer that candlestick is and the more central the location of the dot, the better. The candlestick rises to the highest price that the item was bought or sold for, and it goes down to the lowest price that the item was bought or sold for. And what that means is there's a big gap when you see candlesticks like this. If you saw a candlestick that is, let me just see if I can find one here. A candlestick like this one. See this? It's right near the top of the stick, and you've got this short little stub on top and a big long tail down at the bottom. That's not necessarily a good item to get into, because that means that every once in a while somebody is selling that item for a really cheap price, but the vast majority of the time people are just buying it from the buy orders. And so if you're a person who can manufacture that item, or if you're a person who has some means of acquiring it other than buying it on the market, then yeah, that's good for you. But if you're trading and you're just buying and selling, that's not a good item. You want the dot to be in the middle with long tails on the top and the bottom. You also want good volume, and I think I've already mentioned that. This has pretty okay volume, I guess. And you can go to this table. You click down here to go to the table, and you can get some actual real numbers other than these bars on the bottom. The bars are hard to read for some people. I find it hard to read. So these give you a more concrete number to look at. Now let's look at something that's a bad item to try and trade. Let's look at the Reactor Control Unit Tech 2. You can see the buy orders are 510,000 ISK and the sell orders are 924,000 ISK. There's a pretty big gap there, right? Right? Then when you go and you look at the bar graph, you're going to notice something. Let's go ahead and take a look. It's just like I said. The dots are near the top and they have tails coming down. And the reason for that is because Reactor Control Unit Tech 2 doesn't drop off of NPCs. It doesn't drop off of enemies. These are manufactured by players. And a player that goes through all of the time and effort it takes to manufacture this item is not going to go to the market and then just dump it for sale at 510,000 ISK. If they are patient enough to wait for the item to be manufactured, then they're probably patient enough to wait for the item to be sold at a higher price. Okay, so Tech 2 items, you can buy and sell these, but it's not going to be as easy to get into as meta modules. There are some exceptions to this. Here's a really bad one. Reactor Control Unit Tech 1, the one we looked at before. Absolutely very little variance in the buy orders and sell orders. Don't get into this item. We're going to look at multi-spectrum shield hardeners. See if I can find them here. Multi-spectrum shield hardener Tech 2. I want to look at this because I know some people buy and sell these for some profit. You know what? There's a bit there, but it's not looking that good. You know, I think that this might actually be a better item to do inter-regional trading for, where you go and you buy it all in JITA or a trade hub where they're sold for cheap, and then bring them over to somewhere else and sell them. This could be an item like that. But yeah, that's it. That's good. I think I've explained enough. We'll go a little bit further. If you're getting into this and you're buying and selling stuff, like I said, you're going to be competing with other people, and the profit margins will narrow. They'll get smaller. And you'll start moving into other items. Maybe you'll stay in this item, and you'll start getting involved in a wider variety of items that you're buying and selling. And then you'll start dropping the items that are really cheap, that have small profit margins, and you'll have more capital to start getting into the bigger ticket items. And you'll start getting into the really expensive stuff that sells with a reasonable amount of frequency. But sooner or later, you're going to grow to the point where you've sort of turned over every stone, and there's not really a lot of room for you to continue growing in the market. And that's when it's time to start getting into other areas of trading, like inter-regional trading. So that would be going to another region of space, buying stuff over there that's cheaper, and then moving it into this region and doing that back and forth. That is a good step to take. You can also get into contracts, and that would be, you know, getting into blueprints or anything that can't be sold on the market, that can only be sold through contracts. You can also contract fully fit ships. So if you get to the point where you have loads of capital, you can buy everything you need to build ships, assemble an entire fleet of ships, and then put them up for sale on contract, put them in a location where players want to use them for PvP or whatever, and then they'll gobble up those ships. And you'll be doing them a favor by going through all the logistics work of having the ships ready to go and servicing their need. And that's where you make your profit, is by providing the service. You can also get into speculative buying, and that's when you're looking at the patch notes in EVE Online or looking at the news and seeing what's to come and predicting that this item will go up in price. and buying it now, and then when the patch comes, it goes up in price and then you sell it, for example. You can also get into the character bazaar, and that's buying and selling characters for billions of ISK. You can get into the Plex market, and that's buying Plex and holding on to it, selling it when the price goes up, things like that. There's lots of other opportunities besides just station trading, but I think I've spoken enough. It's probably too long of a video. I've probably gone past the attention span of most viewers already, but here you go. This is mostly to help out members of the Matari Moneymakers Corporation, or just other EVE Online players. If this is like 5 years later from now, I might not even be playing, but yeah. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.